Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we're driving a 2009 Hyundai Genesis. This was Hyundai's first shot at the luxury sports sedan market. This particular car has a 3.8 liter V6 engine producing about 300 horsepower and a torque number that's not that far off. That 3.8 liter V6 is paired with a 6-speed automatic transmission with slap shift functionality. And I want to talk about today why I think this is a luxury sedan bargain in the used market now 15, 16 years later since this car first came out. So let's hop on the road and see how the original Hyundai Genesis drives. We get a nice little caution warning up there because, of course, this car is from the era where screens were just being really introduced into cars. You press the dial here to get that message to go away. Then you have a map. Floor-mounted parking brake, and we're off. So, the first Hyundai Genesis. We'll go ahead and get the initial impressions here out of the way. Driver's feedback, or sort of, I'll say, ride quality. Ride quality is very good. About what you would expect for a mid-size luxury sedan like this. This was placed kind of, think BMW 5 Series, Mercedes E-Class, mid-size luxury sedan. I would say the ride quality is better than the BMW, just a little more sporty, but not quite as good as the Mercedes, which I think is the theme of this whole car. You can feel a lot of what happens in the road, but it's all very deadened. Other driver inputs, brake pedal has a nice, good initial press. It's actually quite firm, more firm than you would expect from a car like this, and it has a lot of good modulation. The brakes in this car are pretty confidence-inspiring, which is always a nice welcome for, you know, a sports sedan, which is really what they should be, but a lot of wannabe sports sedans, you'll find one of the areas they cheap out is the brakes, but here they feel pretty good. Gas pedal is your classic drive-by-wire. It's kind of dead, but it does kind of make sense with my foot, you know, where I want the engine power to be, whatnot. Although I will say the transmission here has a tendency to really hug the highest gear possible. Like, look, we're just kind of cruising right here at 1500 RPM. It loves to just sit super low down there, which does a lot for the fuel economy of this car. For a 3.8 liter V6, you'd think it's thirsty, but it actually isn't as thirsty as you'd expect for a car this size with an engine this size. I don't know what the EPA numbers are, but I was averaging mid-20s driving this car around. So you all might be asking, how have I come in possession of this car? So our Toyota Camry broke down. I know, Toyota Camry breaking down. Very unusual. You can go check that out up here if you want to see how that happened. But since our Toyota Camry broke down, a family member lent us this car to drive around for, you know, a month and a half. So I've been daily driving this car for a little while, so I can actually give you all a pretty good idea as to kind of what this drives like. And in driving this car around, I've liked a lot about it. There's a lot of great things about this car. One feature that you don't see in a lot of cars, especially this time and for this caliber car, is a cooled front seat. So the driver's front seat is cooled and heated, which you'll see in high-end luxury cars, but something like this, I feel like it's a lot less common. Interesting cost-cutting measure, though, is the passenger seat is only heated. So, I mean, I don't really care, I'm the driver, but I just thought that was kind of funny and interesting. We'll talk about the handling later when we take this on some curvier roads, but I would say, generally speaking, from a driving perspective, the chassis feels competent, and honestly, it's peppy and it's fun to drive. Last note on the driver impression, steering feel, it's pretty numb. Although, being that this is an older car, it still has a little bit of steering feel. I want to say this is a hydraulic rack. I can feel some of the road through my steering wheel, so take that as you will. The V6 is pretty responsive, more responsive than I was expecting. And I would say that the juicy point of the power band is definitely the mid-range. Kind of 3,000 to 5,000 is where this V6 makes the best noises, and it feels like it has the most power. I was pleasantly surprised driving this around at how competent this V6 engine feels. You know, being before, Hyundai kind of went for making the original Elantra and, you know, other cars like that, and then they made this, which was, well, for lack of better words, a real car. This was Hyundai's first real car that was competitive. And even this being the base engine, you know, the V6, they had a V8 option too, which would be gobs of power for this because the V6, in my opinion, already feels potent enough. The V6 feels competent. It makes all the torque in the world daily driving this around. Coming from a 141 horsepower 2001 Toyota Camry that I daily drove, you know, this feels like all the power in the world. Now, by modern standards, you know, it's not fast, but I would call this car quick. I want to say 0 to 60 is like high 5-second range, which, I mean, that's a quick car. Truly, I don't think anyone's going to say 5 point, I'm going to say 7 or 8 to 60 is slow. And you feel it. When I'm getting onto the freeway, I basically never need to take this thing over 2,500 RPM. Passing on the freeway, same deal. It just has gobs of torque everywhere, which is really the name of the game of this car. The slap shift functionality works pretty well. I will say this transmission is not quite as responsive as some other sports sedans from the era, like the BMW 5 Series certainly has a better transmission. But this one, I would say maybe it's comparable to the Mercedes of the era. Certainly better than the Lexus, which Lexus, their transmissions got better as time went on, but those early, late 2000s Lexus models, that 6-speed automatic was slow. The whole package here feels very competent, especially considering that this was really their first take at a sports sedan like this. You know, this was Hyundai looking at BMW and Mercedes and saying, we are going to steal your customers. And if you look at the price point of this too, this was a bargain when it was new as well. These were considerably less than the BMW 5 Series and E-Class rivals, which is just what I'm going to compare it to because they're kind of the golden standards for luxury sedans. So now, where does that put us on the used market for these? Well, just like they were new, used, they're also a bargain. And these are kind of unknown, in my opinion. I don't want to say unknown, but maybe kind of slept on. I don't think this car gets the recognition that it deserves. It's not some world killer, world-beating car. It's not the standard for this segment. But it's just a damn good car that does everything right. And it handles pretty well too. You know, earning it the title of sports sedan. I would call this a real sports sedan. It feels like that when you're in the driver's seat. It feels sporty and it's fun. If you go on Facebook right now or Craigslist and you try to find one of these things, you can find them for $5-6 grand all day. If you want one lower mileage like this with 82,000 miles, you're probably gonna look at, you know, maybe 8. And that's really top dollar for one of these things. They don't really go over 10. I think sub $10,000 for a car like this is a great deal. And even better, these stood up to the test of time. When these were new, something you had to worry about is it going to hold up like the proven luxury cars did, like the proven brands? But now, 15 years later, they've proven that they have. There are lots of these floating around with 200,000+ miles, and the engines, transmissions, they're all still going. Tyler Hoover's garage, bought one that had rod knock and was totally disheveled and abused. And that one, I mean, even in the state it was in, still ran and drove. So by buying one of these used, you're kind of getting the discount without any of the penalty. The penalty maybe would have been, it doesn't hold up as well as, you know, a Lexus or an Acura product. But they do. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to be equally as reliable. I mean, it's hard to beat Lexus and Toyota, Honda, and Acura reliability, but I don't think it's that far off. Something else too, as far as, you know, cost of ownership, if you want to look at it that way, this takes 87 octane fuel. That's unheard of for a luxury car. Most luxury cars, especially with bigger engines like this, it's mid-grade at the minimum, but usually they require premium. This takes 87, fine. It's not even recommended you run 93, can run 87. It just is designed to run 87. And that's a huge benefit in today's market because 93 fuel is like $1 a gallon more. I'll say when I was driving this thing around, filling it up was not as expensive as my E36 M3, which is totally backwards because you'd expect this to be more expensive when you look at it. But I think the name of the game with this car is affordable luxury. It doesn't shout, I have money, but it's just a really nice car. It's nice looking. It looks expensive but not gaudy and tasteless. The kind of person that buys this is the kind of person that says, I want a nice car, and I want to show people that I like having nice things, but I'm not trying to flaunt my wealth. That's the message I think this car puts out into the world. I just want a nice sedan that does what I want it to. You know, you get leather inside, I get cooled seats. I want it to fly under the radar. I just want to have a nice car. That's all. That's what this is. You viewers of the channel will know that I am a sucker for silver cars. I have an affinity for silver. I don't know why, I kind of do. And, you know, something like this, it's like my favorite kind of car. Silver on black, luxury sedan. I love this kind of car. For me, there's just something about a silver luxury sedan that does it. I don't know why. To me, it says class. And I like that. And that's what this car says. It says, I have class. I like to think of this car kind of like a Toyota Avalon, but if it was more fun to drive. Or I should just say fun to drive in general. Because the Toyota Avalon is front-wheel drive, and it's kind of geared towards, you know, more the plushy side, luxury. Whereas this kind of gears more towards the sportiness, you know, being correct wheel drive. That's what I call rear-wheel drive. Another little quirk about this car is the infotainment system. Being it's one of the early style, you know, dials. I know it's been kind of fun to play around with while I had this car. It's not the most intuitive system in the world by modern standards, but I will say, compared to other systems of its day, this was not bad. This is way better than BMW's first iDrive, which was absolutely horrendous. The iDrive version 1, which even in its day, people said was clunky and complicated. iDrive version 2 got better, but this being Hyundai's first attempt at it is impressive. You know, for 08 when this car came out, I gotta hand it to them. They did a pretty good job, especially considering what the competition had put out first before they did. Granted, they also had the benefit of watching BMW's iDrive kind of suck first, so they knew kind of how to build theirs and make it better. That was like half throttle, maybe a little more than half. The V6 in here is just a sweetheart. It has gobs of torque, and I absolutely love kind of revving this out a little bit. I don't do it that often because you don't really need to, and that is when it starts to chug fuel. But when you want to have a little bit of fun, this V6, it's a nice engine. It's fun to use. We'll do a kick down. It doesn't hesitate. You just kind of put your foot down, and the engine transmission's like, oh, okay, we're doing this now. Drives exactly how you'd expect a car like this to drive. It doesn't feel like a budget luxury car. I think that's what's so great about this car, is it stands on its own right compared to its, you know, current existing rivals when it had came out back in 08. And I have spent a lot of time in this because I was driving it to and from Cincinnati from Michigan. So 4.5 hour drive. And it's great on the highway. That's honestly the highlight of this car, is the highway driving experience. Now we've got our cooled seat running right now, and it feels nice. When you hop into a modern Hyundai, they feel like luxury cars, and they don't feel budget compared to the other brands. And I would say that all started here. This car set a great precedent for Hyundai, especially this one too. I don't think Hyundai spared a penny when they were developing this. I mean, they really wanted to hit it home their first shot, because they knew that they only had one shot at making a good first impression, and I would say they did a fantastic job with the original Hyundai Genesis. We have finished our test drive of the 2009 Hyundai Genesis, the OG Hyundai Genesis. My hot take, this is the best bargain in the used luxury sedan market right now. Look at any other sedan from this era, late 2000s, early 2010s, from any other brand, BMW, Mercedes, Audi, Lexus, Acura, all the brands you can think of. Look at their luxury sedan offerings, and what you're going to find is they're either not as reliable or not as cheap. But this kind of gives you everything. It doesn't feel as expensive as some of its European rivals, and Hyundai doesn't have the same long-standing name for reliability as its Japanese rivals. Because of that, you get a car for a lot less money, and it doesn't appear to be any less reliable or expensive to own than any of its Japanese rivals. There are tons of these floating around with tons of miles on them. The test of time has tested this car, and it held up. You can find them for under 10 grand all day, and that is a lot of car for the money. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and give the original Hyundai Genesis a score. The 2009 Hyundai Genesis scores here on our list. It scores very closely with other sports sedan rivals of the era. We haven't reviewed them all, notably Mercedes. If you look at the comparison, the Genesis keeps right up and in line with BMW, Lexus, and Audi on our list. Should you buy it? The first generation Hyundai Genesis was the beginning of what we know Hyundai for today. Affordable, expensive looking, and high quality feeling cars at a reasonable price relative to the competition. Admittedly, the interior quality is not up to par with its European rivals, but for $10,000 less than what the competition was new, it no longer feels like a big deal. Almost 20 years later, the original Genesis became a great example of an approachable halo car, something to aspire to that also isn't too out of reach for most people. And now you can find them used for an even better bargain than they were new.